Hello, let us see another example for type expression generation by using SDT. So we are given this array float 10, 20 and 30. Now the corresponding production rules which are applied are basically in this way. So T produces B, C, B produces float, and this C produces num, and C1, and this again produces num C1. Let us, instead of using C1, let us use another C2 for our simplicity. C2 produces C3 and epsilon. Now the first thing is that we are using the production rule, that is B produces float. So the information that the array is of type float should be transferred at here. So in the first case we are evaluating that B type is equal to float. So the information is flowing in this way. So this is the first thing that we are generating. Now the information that B dot type is float is transferred here. So this is the second evaluation. So that is C dot type is equal to float. Now this is evaluated in the second case. Now the next thing is that C dot code equals to array this value num dot value. This is given as 10, this is given as 20, and this is given as 30. Now here the C dot code will be array 10 comma C1 dot code. Now you can see the value of C1 dot code cannot be evaluated right now, as well as we are also evaluating that C1 dot type is equals to float. So we are flowing this information to here. So this is the third evaluation. Now let us use the square to denote that this is the leaf nodes. Now at this C1, at this point we can also evaluate that C1 dot code is equals to array num dot value, which is 20, comma this C2 dot code. Now you can see the C2 dot code cannot be evaluated right now. Now C2 dot type equals to float, that is C2 dot type is evaluated from C1 dot type, that is this information is flowing in this way. So this is the fourth stage of evaluating the C2 dot type. Now again that C2 dot code is equals to array num dot value, which is 30 comma C3 dot code. Now the C3 value, that is the type of C3, can also be evaluated as C3 dot type is equal to C2 dot type, that is C3 dot type is equal to float, which is this order of evaluation. So this is the fifth. Now whenever you are using the production rule C produces epsilon, so this production rule it is basically C produces epsilon. So when you are using the C produces epsilon production rule, that is whenever we are using the C produces epsilon production rule, what we are doing, we are evaluating that C dot code is equal to C dot type. Now here C dot code will be C dot type. What is the C dot type? Here the C dot type is float, that is C dot, that is for this situation C dot code is basically C3 dot code, which will be C3 dot type, which is evaluated as float. So this is evaluated. So that is the sixth step. Now C3 dot code is evaluated to be float. So we can say that C3 dot code is now float. So C2 dot code is now is array 30 comma C3 dot code, which is float, that is C3 comma float. So this is now evaluated. So this is the seventh order. Now again C2 dot code is evaluated, that is C2 dot code is evaluated. Now this C1 dot code will be array 20 comma C2 dot code, that is the C2 dot code. So which is array 30 comma float. So this is evaluated next, that is the 8th step or 8th iteration. Let us use the term iteration, 8th iteration. So this is the first iteration, second iteration, third iteration, in this way. Now the value of c1 dot code is evaluated, so this c1 dot code can be replaced. So c dot code is equals to array 10 comma c1 dot code. Now what is the value of c1 code? This is the value, that is array 20 comma array 30 comma float. So this value is evaluated. So this is the 9th iteration. In the final case, what we are doing, that c1 dot code is equal to t dot code, that is t dot code is equal to c dot code. That is, what is c dot code? This is the c dot code. This is the value of c dot code. So array 10 comma array 20 comma array 30 comma float, closing bracket, closing bracket, closing bracket, and this is evaluated in the last iteration, that is 10th iteration. So this is the way how the corresponding type expression can be generated by using the syntax directed definition. Thank you. Stop.